Hello and welcome to the Profit and Cashflow Mastery podcast. I'm your host, Gavin Smith from The Profit Analyst, and in this podcast, I'm going to be showing you how simple, easy, and more important, how practical numbers can actually be for you as a small business owner. I have a pretty extensive finance career and background, but more importantly and more relevant to you is I'm a small business owner myself. I've built multiple businesses from startups and turnarounds through to 7 and even 8-figure plus businesses. And what I've learned along that journey is how to make numbers really simple and easy and practical and how to use them to guide you in your business strategies. And ultimately, that's what I now love doing. I love teaching other business owners how to make the numbers simple and easy so they can gain real clarity about their numbers. I love showing them how to identify what numbers actually matter in your business, but more importantly, I show you how to use your numbers so that you can make better decisions, which ultimately leads to better profitability, better cash flow, and growing and scaling businesses. So let's dive into it. Okay, so part 2 when it comes to P&L simplification. So we've talked about in part 1 how we want to stop looking at a sea of numbers and just condense all of those costs down just into 5 simple numbers, what I call the business drivers: cost of sales, team, marketing, property, and overheads. Here's the next part, and this is the real game changer for so many business owners when it comes to looking at their numbers. We've done this great step of simplifying down just to 5 numbers, but where the real magic happens, the part 2 here of P&L simplification, is when we look at our numbers in visual format, i.e. looking at a color-coded chart. So much simpler to look at a color-coded chart and see what is going on within a business compared to looking at a table full of numbers. Now, I know there's statistics out there that say there are people who prefer looking at numbers versus those who look at a chart. In my experience of everybody I've taught and coached, I would say it's about 1 in 50 prefers to look at the table compared to who would rather look at a color-coded chart. The thing about a picture, you can just take in so much quicker, so many different pieces of information. You can see clearly what's driving this business. What are the trends? Is it going up? Is it going down? Which numbers matter? Which are the big numbers? Which are the small numbers? And you can do all of that within about 30 seconds compared to having to look at numbers and do the kind of mental calculations in your head and realize which numbers are bigger, smaller, how they're performing over time. If you've been watching this visually, this one, I outlined some numbers back here. I showed you a boring standard looking P&L where we've got TMI, too many numbers on a page. This is what we're looking at. I am sure none of you looked at that P&L and tried to understand what's going on within that business, to look at the profitability, to look at the results. But this chart, which I'm now displaying here, is literally the exact same numbers. It's those numbers put into chart format. And within 30 seconds, you could look at that chart and you could understand exactly what's going on in this business. Is it trending up? Is it making profit or is it making a loss? Which costs actually matter? Let me just talk through this chart or explain what it is that I like to see when I'm looking at a visual P&L. We want a line which shows the income. So what we're tracking here in the line across this chart is our income every month. So we're seeing what the monthly figures are, and from this line we can see, is it trending up? Is it trending down? I take the 5 costs, those 5 buckets of costs, which we outlined in the previous one: cost of goods sold, our team, our marketing, our overheads, and our property, and I like to have these as color-coded blocks so you can see them in their own right, but show them stacked one on top of the other so that we can see how much our total costs are each month and where, which cost categories are the biggest ones within a business or not. And then what's left over is another line or a shaded area, in this case at the bottom, which is our profit. And so the points in time where the income, the line for income, is higher than where the blocks of costs add up to, we can see that's where we're making a profit. Whereas other months where our blocks of costs are coming to be higher than what our income is, those are the periods where we're making a loss. Really quick and easy for you to visually look at, okay, we made a loss this month. Why? Did revenue come down or did costs get higher? You can see all that super quickly on a visual chart. What we can also tell from this is we can see clearly what are the trends for revenue. Revenue is averaging maybe lower in the first half and then higher in the second half. Okay, so revenue has gone up. Have the costs increased? Yes or no? In this case, the picture I'm looking at, no. Which means why our profit has gone from losses or break even to actually making profits. We can see it's come from a revenue shift. We can also see things like, what are the biggest costs in this business? And in this example I've got on the screen here, you can see the team cost is by far and away the biggest cost every month within this business. And so it just helps you to focus on what actually matters within a business, within that P&L, and find where the real opportunities are. One other kind of pro tip here when it comes to looking at your financials, if you find when you're looking at your financials, it's still quite up and down. The monthly revenue is really full of many peaks and troughs as your revenue is growing. It's not a straight line. Sometimes it really helps just to group those monthly P&Ls visually into quarters, because when you drop down to quarters, it takes away a lot of the noise of the up and down, which can occur on a monthly basis, and it helps you to see the bigger picture, the bigger trends for your business. So again, with this example here, we could see that revenue was increasing over time while our costs were largely staying the same, and we could see how that's improved our profitability. We can see that a whole chunk of the costs within this business, namely the rent, the overheads, the marketing activities, These are what I call fixed costs. Even though the revenue has gone up so much, these costs have stayed exactly the same, which is what's helping us to move into higher profits once we've grown the business. And again, we can still see what are the biggest costs within this business. And it's the team and what movements have happened within our team. Just so much information you can take in really quickly by looking at a chart compared to looking at numbers on a page. If you're a business owner who is struggling to see results, or you're overwhelmed by the numbers side of your business, we can help. Book in a call with one of my team members using the link in the description, and let's get your business thriving without the overwhelm. That was the part 2 of how do we do P&L simplification. Part 1, stop looking at a sea of numbers, condense it down just to 5 key numbers. And part 2, look at those numbers visually. Just so much quicker and easier for you to keep tabs on your financials to look at them visually. And again, this is one of the key tools which we put in place to any business owner who comes and does our Profit and Cashflow Mastery program. When we plug this system into your business, first thing, which I've talked about previously, we put a cash flow forecast in straight away. The second thing we do is set up visual reports. And that is where every month when it comes to looking at both your P&Ls and your balance sheet data, we want to look at those in simple color-coded charts, which are a combination of what are the actual results as well as forecasts. So we're being not only reactive looking at financials, but being proactive. We're seeing where the business is heading, but we're doing it in a way where it's a color-coded chart and it's really simple and easy for anybody to pick up and understand the financials for a business. I've had numerous business owners who have come through this program who have said, I've been running businesses for 20 years, 25 years, never really understood it. This color-coding chart is an absolute game changer for me. Now in particular, those who are more on the creative types, now they're like, I can just pick up my financials and understand them straight away exactly what's going in my business. These color-coded charts have really helped me out. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Profit and Cashflow Mastery. If this episode helped you gain clarity with your numbers, then please make sure you give us a 5-star review wherever you're listening to this. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. And if you want to stay connected, make sure you give us a follow on the socials at The Profit Analyst.